Testing, 1, 2. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3 o'clock and there's quorum in the room, so I just invite you to take your seats so we can get started. Okay, so we'll start with declarations of interest. Seeing none, there's just one item on the agenda today, and that's the 2014 Draft Operating and Capital Budgets Tax-Supported Programs and Transit Commission. Today we will be tabling the draft 2013 Transit Commission budget. Just a reminder to the Commission that only high-level questions on the presentation may be asked today. You will have a chance to ask more detailed questions at the next meeting of the Transit Commission on November 20th, where we will receive public delegations. This morning, the 2014 draft operating and capital budgets were tabled by Mayor Watson at the Council meeting. Before our General Manager provides us with a presentation on the draft transit services budget, I want to take this opportunity to provide you with some highlights. The draft budget is based on customer service, balanced with affordability and planning the exciting changes needed to move our transit service department from a bus company to a multimodal transit service provider of both bus and both diesel and electric light rail services. The budget includes the following. 1, there are no service reductions proposed. 2, the budget is based on an allocation increase of 1.7% assessment growth and a tax increase of 1.9%. Fares are capped at 1.9% overall. Efficiencies continue to provide financial stability to OC Transpo, and the draft budget includes the final phase of the double-decker bus savings of $1.477 million. The planned savings for the double-decker buses have been achieved. In addition to these efficiencies, staff have also identified a reduction of 13.7 funded FTEs, and management have identified combined savings and efficiencies of $0.857 million. Neither of these efficiencies adversely impact service, nor do they result in any layoffs. The budget includes funding for the improved O-Train service expansion, which will commence in 2014, and expanded bus service across the Strandherd-Armstrong Bridge once it's opened. Increased service capacity and special services for events at Lansdowne will begin in 2014 and will be funded entirely by event organizers under the terms of the Lansdowne Agreement with OSEG. The costs of these services are shown in the budget along with the cost recovery. Our capital budget continues investing in life cycle and renewal of transit assets and includes funding for bus refurbishments, station and facility improvements, transit priority projects, and transit IT infrastructure. Those are just some of the highlights of the draft budget, and I'd now like to invite General Manager John Manconi to provide us with a more detailed overview. So over to you, Mr. Manconi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the draft 2014 budget that's before you is based on leveraging numerous policy decisions that you've made to put OC Transpo on a foundation of financial stability, sustainability, and predictability. Our focus continues to be on customer service and leveraging key initiatives that drive customer satisfaction up. We're going to be executing on key projects such as the O-Train operation and the Presto Customer Care Program that we talked about at our last Transit Commission. Our focus for 2014 will be the Confederation line readiness that cuts across the entire organization, Presto Customer Care Program, our Safety and Security Program, and continuation of our employee engagement strategies. Madam Chair, you've made numerous decisions in the past that are considered the financial building blocks that enable the budget that's before you today. And you had numerous goals in terms of positioning the transit budget the way it is. You wanted predictability, you wanted sustainable finances, and you wanted stability. And within that goal, the one key lens that we apply to every single expense that we contemplate is the transit affordability plan that finance manages on behalf of the organization. That transit affordability plan is what enables you to carry out the numerous transit initiatives that you're approving and that are being considered for the future. and we apply that lens to every single expenditure that we contemplate. The key decisions that you've made to achieve this goal are significant and at times were very challenging to make, but you made the right decisions, including route optimization, the move to high-capacity buses such as double-deckers and articulated bus fleet, the O-Train expansion, the fare policy review that eliminated subsidies, and the Confederation line, which is the next key initiative that drives out additional savings and contributes to this goal. The key highlights, Madam Chair, is the budget is based on an allocation increase of 1.7% in assessment growth and a tax increase of 1.9%. Our ridership that's built into the draft budget is based on 98.8 million trips for conventional service. And in 2012, we had 101 million customer trips. Our ridership in 2013 is expected to be approximately 98.5 million customer trips. That will generate fares of approximately $180 million. This estimate does not include any increase in ridership that may come from the various detours and construction activities that will hopefully promote people to consider transit. With respect to paratransport, we're budgeting for 871,000 passenger trips in 2014, and that's a slight increase from 2013. And as you noted, Madam Chair, the last tranche of double-decker savings, approximately $1.5 million, is also included in the draft budget. Other key highlights are almost 14 FTEs that are fully funded have been identified and included in the draft budget, and that's a net reduction. There's an overall fare increase of 1.9%, which would be effective July 1st, 2014. The collective agreement costs are built into the draft budget. And fuel, which is a large expenditure for us where we consume almost 40 million liters of fuel annually, is budgeted at a diesel price of 1.0481. And I want to thank Finance Department for their hedging strategy that's helping us to contain some of these costs in this area. Also included in the draft budget is with the opening of the Strand-Heard-Armstrong Bridge, we will run service across that bridge, and it's currently planned for September 2013. With respect to Lansdowne Park, events will commence mid-year, and they're funded by the event organizers, so they're shown as a recovery in the budget as per the Lansdowne Agreement. O-Train service, the expansion of that, which will provide more service to our customers, we will need funds for that, so approximately $963,000 is included in the draft budget. The Presto operational costs are also built in. And I also want to take a moment to thank the Transit Services Departmental Management Team, who identified almost $900,000 in savings and efficiencies with no impact to service. And that's looking at every single line item within their branch. So there's big and small things that they've been able to look at and contribute to the goal. The reminder, Madam Chair, the bus detour costs, both capital and operating, are funded from the LRT budget, so they do not form part of this budget on the operating side. Sorry. So with respect to the summary, on the operating side, we had a target that was given to us of $7.3 million, and we've attained that target, and it's a mix of maintenance, maintaining service costs, so that's collective agreement, fuel, utilities, all the costs that we need to build in. Growth, the only growth component that's significant is the O-Train, and that's the costs I mentioned earlier. And then we have Service Ottawa efficiencies that we'll attain, base adjustments to our 2013 budget, and then the fare revenue that is generated with the modest increase. Madam Chair, what's not included in the budget is there is no new capacity for any service other than the Strand-Heard-Armstrong Bridge, and any quarterly minor capacity reallocation that Mr. Scrimgeour does 4 times a year between routes. Also, we do not have any increase in management positions or other FTEs within the organization. Within the capital, this is just a highlight. There's bus purchases and refurbishments of almost $16 million. There's continued improvements to our facilities and our stations of $8 million. Our transit priority initiatives, $5 million, and our IT life cycle of $1.5 million. Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes the summary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manconi. Are there any questions on the presentation? Commissioner Blowis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just this morning at the budget presentation, the Treasurer, I believe, indicated that there was no no budget pressure due to growth in the transit budget, and I was just looking for the page on the slide, and I think what you're indicating is there is some pressure due to the O-train, but no other capacity built in for growth-related services. So the new areas that are coming on stream that by policy would be eligible for service, are you saying that we're not going to follow the policy?
No, we will, Madam Chair. I'll get Pat to explain that for you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we do have reserve capacity in the system right now because ridership is currently lower than it was 2 years ago, but the capacity, the amount of service that we provide, the amount of capacity we provide is the same. So there is room within what we do now to reallocate resources from routes on which ridership has dropped a little bit and to serve the new areas as they both get built, as people move in, and as the number of people living in there gets large enough.
And so the reallocation of resources that you're talking about, and we've spoken about some of those routes, that will take into account that as those routes get stretched further out into the growth areas, into the new areas, to make adjustments within the route to try and keep it within a reasonable express model, or?
Madam Chair, yes, where possible within the budget, within the service standards that we follow, that were approved by Council about 8 years ago now, and along with the major strategic decisions that were taken in 2011.
Okay, and I think some of this we'll probably have to take offline then to follow up on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Blows, Commissioner Egley.
Again, just to follow up on Councillor Blows, he sort of asked the question I wanted to ask, but so there is flexibility within the year to shift and adjust, if I understand correctly. How is that determination going to be made to take from one route and to give to another route?
Madam Chair, our long-standing service standards have given a structure to compare the inconvenience that a cause would change to customers and the benefit that it would cause to other customers. And we calculate that generally in customer minutes of longer walk to the nearest bus stop, longer wait for a bus, longer travel time on the bus, number of additional or fewer transfers to be made, and whether there's a substantial change in the reliability of the service. And we can calculate those for one group of customers and for another, and we will always recommend the change that favors the greater number of customers or that provides the greatest saving in travel time when measured in customer minutes.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Egley. Commissioner Wilkinson.
Yes, thank you. I was just looking at slide number 4, the key highlights. You said that Terra Transport is expected to carry 871,000 passengers in 2014. Is this the same as this year, or is that an increase, or what kind of change is there, because it's not indicated?
Madam Chair, I believe that's 10,000 more trips is what we've added.
And how is that going to factor into actually meeting the demand, which I suspect is much higher than that?
I'll ask Mr. Charter to come up and comment on that, please.
Madam Chair, the 10,000 additional trips will obviously will greatly benefit, but we are experiencing a refusal rate or an unaccommodated trip rate right now of about 7 to 8%. We're hoping that would drop that rate down to about 5%.
Okay, so you're actually making an improvement. That's something I'd like to hear. The other thing is, I don't see anything in here. There's been some talk about whether the U-Pass would be extended to over the summer, that we might have other places going to U-Pass. Now, is this going to impact it, or will it be done in such a way that it would be as much revenue neutral as possible?
Madam Chair, that's exactly the key part of that question. Revenue neutrality is the theme, and so it would be revenue neutral, anything that we do.
And the other one is some of the school boards are looking at traveling more kids with yellow school buses, and that would reduce our ridership. Have you taken that into account on the ridership figures?
Madam Chair, we just got the information this morning about that announcement. Mr. Scrimgeour is following up with the school boards to understand exactly what they decided and what the impact will be, and we'll certainly be happy to update the Transit Commission at a future meeting or even sooner.
Well, when we deal with the budget, would it be possible to have an indication, so if you do have to make any adjustments, it's probably safer to do it before than later?
Pat and I were talking about that this morning. He's going to try his best, and if he can get some good, accurate information that we can give you some recommendations, we'll let you know. If it's too vague for us to bring anything concrete, then we'll have to take our time with it.
Okay. Well, thank you. And we can do more when budget comes, but I just didn't see those items in here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkinson. Commissioner Johnson.
Just quickly, Madam Chair, on slide, this is something I'd like to have in advance of the TMP discussion. On slide 5, Mr. McConey made reference to rapid transit bus routes going across the Strandherd-Armstrong Bridge commencing September 2013. I assume that should be 2014. That's correct. And given that residents of Barrhaven and Rivers, I'm curious if there's been any plans laid out as to how that will be manifested, and since residents of Barrhaven and Riverside South will have that extra option to get onto rapid transit going east for Riverside South or north and west or north for Barrhaven, is there any corresponding reduction in transit-way service on either of those fronts, given that there's going to be increased options for those residents?
Madam Chair, no, we're not proposing any reduction in service on either of those routes. The extension of Route 99 across to Barrhaven Centre would provide one of the two new connections, and the extension of Route 94 from Nepean Wood Station over to Riverview Station would provide the other link. They'd both cross the bridge and allow people from either that part of Barrhaven or that part of Riverside South to travel either side of the river, and there's no reduction on the mainline services as a result. Just the extension is in the budget.
Okay, while I'm on that, will the terminus of both of those routes then be the Nepean Woods Park and Ride?
Madam Chair, no. Nepean Woods would be the terminus of neither one of those two routes. The 94 would extend to Riverview, and the 99 to Barrhaven Centre, or to, in effect, Marketplace.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Crew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a number of detailed questions that I will save for our careful consideration. At this stage, just noting on slide 9, the note about the bus purchase and refurbishment at the cost of $15.7 million. It appears that $11 million of that is for purchase of additional buses. Just to be clear, these are additional buses that you will be coming to the Commission recommending the purchase of, or are these buses that we've already approved the purchase of?
Madam Chair, we're going to bring something, we're not quite sure what it is, whether it's a report or presentation on the, this is for the detour buses for the Confederation line. This is, it's in the capital budget, and there are advanced purchases, so we're just finalizing the details on how many we need, what bus types and so forth, so we will be bringing that information report to Commission. And then we will also, as we move through the changes in routes and so forth, we'll bring a detailed report on what it means from the customer perspective.
Okay, thank you. I had anticipated perhaps that was, my next question was going to be if they were for the detour buses, so thank you for confirming that as well. That's all for this. No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Crew, anyone else? Just on the fare table, it's in the budget?
That's correct.
And it's built on the same premise as last year, that there is an incentive built in for Presto users?
Correct.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, received on the tabling of the budget. Thank you. Any notices of motion? Seeing none, inquiries? Other business? Adjourned. Thank you.